All right. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be here with Cherie and Heather. My name is Jen, and I have the opportunity to interview both of these lovely ladies for all of us to get to know a little bit more about them. So, before we jump into some interview questions for Cherie and Heather, just some quick introductions. So, as you can see, we have Cherie Lindbergh here. Cherie is a PhD, LPC, and is a dedicated and accomplished brain spotting trainer who has spent over 2 decades specializing in trauma work. Her unique approach integrates parts work, coaching, and teaching to empower individuals to flourish and thrive. Dr. Lindbergh has an unwavering commitment to helping individuals overcome adversity, which stands as a testament to her remarkable resilience and unwavering dedication to the well being of others. So, thank you for being here with us, Cherie.
Thank you.
And then we also have Heather here. So, Heather Corbett is a spiritual advisor, Reiki master teacher, and brain spotting consultant and specialty trainer with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in occupational therapy. She has researched spirituality and has served in the human development field for over 20 years. Her background also includes specialties in sensory processing, parts work, neurodivergence, and medical anomalies. Heather enjoys teaching self development, spirituality, and energy healing. She also loves assisting clients to heal and align to their intuitive gifts and their life path. Thank you, Heather, for being
Yeah,
here as
thank
well.
you. Yeah.
So, without further ado, just to get to know a little bit more about you two and how your paths crossed, can you share with us how you guys met?
You want to start, Heather? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting. I just have to say this. It was in 2020, and I went to a brain spotting training. So I went to the phase 2 brain spotting training, and Cherie was the trainer. And I just have to say, I was reflecting on this just recently
Mm.
that I had gone to phase 1 with a different trainer, and I was wondering about research, and I was also wondering about spirituality. And so this was even before I met Cherie. And this trainer had said, "Well, get in touch with Cherie Lindbergh about this." And so I did. And Cherie sent me an email and said, "This is a great, rich topic. I'm working on my PhD right now." So I think it's so timely we're doing this interview now, just because Cherie, you just got your PhD and we're talking about this new training coming up. So I
Mhm.
wanted to speak into that. So that's the beginnings of my take on the story. So I'd love to hear from you, Cherie.
Well, I think the one that sticks with me the most is on our way to Sedona,
Mhm.
and at that point, Heather had become a consultant in brain spotting. She just kept taking trainings. I kept seeing her all the time. We started to build a relationship. And then we were on our way to Sedona for an intensive. And we just started talking about brain spotting and spirituality and intuition and talking about the thought of creating a class because we were having people in our lives, our clients and other people, colleagues that were having these spiritual experiences and their intuition was opening up and we were experiencing that as well. And so we were in the car and it was just like download after download about potential of having a training like this.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that all too well. And it was amazing too, just to be able to be in that energy, like to be in the Sedona energy and to be able to go back and forth and back and forth. And so many ideas, so many ideas. And so it's really neat to see where this has kind of evolved as well. So that was back in March.
Mhm.
And here we are doing the brain spotting spirituality and intuition training in upcoming February. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I know that we're learning so much from you all. You've all already done so much work with brain spotting, spirituality, and intuition, and you have some exciting upcoming opportunities as well. So I'm just wondering if you can share a little bit with us about what really pulls you, what inspires you to combine this research and science and spirituality.
Mhm. Go ahead, sure. Yeah.
All right. So, well, growing up, okay, I'm going to take us back to when I was a kid. I spent all my life legitimizing what I have to say through education. This is why I ended up getting a PhD, even though now I'm moving in a totally different direction. But it was through education that it was like, okay, you're not going to listen to me. I'm going to get education, and then you're going to listen to me, basically, right? And so there's so much about spirituality that helps people's well-being, and people start to brush it off, or you'll hear this, oh, that's woo woo, right? So we have made a commitment to put the woo or put the science in the woo. We want people to know it's not just woo-woo. Like, this is actually spirituality, and intuition is actually overall helping somebody's well-being. It's a buffer against depression. It's also helps people with resiliency. This is like helping people live a better life.
Mhm,
Yeah, that's incredible.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that forward. And I feel so with my upbringing, I did have a lot of spiritual experiences and I didn't know how to conceptualize this. And so as I was going through, I kind of put my own spirituality kind of on the back burner and just did a lot with education, professional. This is what I need to do. This is the walk I need to take.
Mhm.
And as I moved more into energy healing, more into spirituality, I just noticed that people were changing, people were shifting. And I felt that there was something more to it. And so I just feel like, in so many ways, and you'll hear me on a lot of my lives and social media, where I feel like part of my life purpose is to bring science to spirituality, to be able to say and see, hey, there's something more here.
Mhm.
And with that, the more and more research that we've been able to do, we're noticing that spirituality is in the brain, intuition is in the brain. And so just in witnessing that, that we're able to really harness this and assist people to access spirituality and intuition through brain work. And it's absolutely incredible. And so Cherie and I have been, swapping ideas, doing research. We get together for hours upon hours to go through this research and whatnot. And when we come back together each time, there's more information. And
Mhm.
also we'll just share, well, we've tried this with our clients. We've tried this with our clients. And so with that, it's just really opening up a lot more doors, being able to put this all together.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think for so many of us gives language to the things we've been experiencing. I know for me, my background is also in clinical counseling, and I was weaving in all of this spirituality just from personal experience. So I think that is just incredible that you're able to bridge those gaps and really combine two worlds that people have viewed as separate entities, but really showing how they are interwoven. So
Mhm.
thank you for your work there. Truly, it's been impactful even just for me personally. So, speaking into some of that spirituality piece, I'm wondering if you could share with us maybe a profound experience each of you have had spiritually.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share, this is connected to brain spotting. So, reflecting, how you always know more once you reflect on an experience. When I was younger, I had spiritual experiences, but I didn't have, like you said, Jen, a language to talk about that. So
Mhm.
I didn't know all what that was. I was the weird kid on the block, because I would talk about it and people are like, that doesn't happen to me. So I'm
Mhm.
like, so I started to be quiet about those experiences. And then lo and behold, I went to Ecuador with Dr. David Grand to do a brain spotting session at a intensive. And it was during that intensive that, and I even struggle saying this now because you know, it brings up old stuff. It brings up old memories of people judging, people making, but I am going to share this. I'm at this intensive and these three white flowy beings show up and I see myself outside of the earth and I'm floating in the stars with these beings. And all I can say is viscerally, it felt like I had come home. I felt very comfortable. And they didn't have faces or hands, but I start to hear their words. And I started to share their words with Dr. Grand and the people that were there. And they're going, ooh, people are making out. And I'm like, what, what is this? I was very aware. And I have a sarcastic part of me. And they were saying, Cherie, you have the ability to transmute the energy in the room. And I'm like, oh yeah, prove it. Well, then all of a sudden I actually see these beings in the room standing behind all these people. And I'm telling them all this as it's happening. And I'm like, they're from Ecuador. They don't know me. I'm going to go back to the United States. They'll never know, whatever. I'm never going to share this. While here I am sharing it. Um, and so anyway, it was a very profound experience. White light was coming into my chest. And I felt all this negativity from past experiences leaving my body. And then at the end, when I kind of came back into the room where the brain spotting was done, a woman came over to me with the translator and said, "Do you know you were quoting the Course of Miracles?" And I'm like, "What is the Course of Miracles?" Like, I didn't even know what the Course of Miracle was. I know what it is now. I still haven't read it, but they were all talking about what I was saying. And that experience was the beginning. Like, I kept it hush hush because I was afraid of what other people would say. But since meeting Heather, she kind of has a way of getting you in there and getting you connected to your spiritual gifts. It's opened and it's open, and and I keep having more experiences connected to that. So I'm starting to trust my experience now. And I'm starting to bring that in and use it for good, for others, for intuiting, for moving forward with this class. I mean, I could go on and on, but that continues to this day. I continue to have spiritual experiences like that. And I say brain spotting was what opened the door for me again.
That's incredible. Thank you for your vulnerability and just sharing that with us. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. And I feel, I've heard this story before, and at the same time, every time I hear it, I just think, yeah, yeah, I'm kind of on the edge of my seat just because I feel
Mhm.
like it's really relatable. I feel like there's so many of us that have these really profound experiences and maybe don't have languaging for it or aren't able to articulate it in a way that would make sense to others. And so really appreciate that as well. And my own profound experience. So just like I shared when I was growing up, I was spiritually gifted. And so I would see a lot of eyes around me, not knowing that they were spirits. And there was different times that I would see presences and whatnot. And with that, people just were not able to explain this to me. So I turned it off at age 12. And then at age around 19, I got a call from my mom, and she said, "Your cousin has passed in a car accident." And I just remember sitting there like almost numb and not really understanding what the severity was, how it happened, all of this. But I vowed the next day that I would go to the crash scene just to pay homage and just to feel him. And so when I did go the next day, I just remember it was on this backcountry road. And with that, I just remember seeing all the debris from the car accident. And they tried their hardest to be able to sweep everything up, et cetera, but it was in the middle of the night. And so as I'm looking at everything, just this experience, I see his glasses. And I just thought for a moment, I thought, why didn't they pick up his glasses? Well, they probably didn't see him. But in that moment, I just dropped to my knees and I just started sobbing and crying. And I just said out loud, I said, "Please just send me an angel, send me an angel, please send me an angel." And all of a sudden, this man on a bike came down a hill, and he got off his bike and he stood in front of me, and he actually had to lift me up. I was down on my knees, but he lifted me up and he held my hands and he prayed over the
Oh,
scene and he prayed over family and whatnot. And he just prayed for a safe transition for my cousin. And that turned me, and I just thought, okay, there's something more here. And I just remember asking my mind, just like, "Cousin, did you send that angel? Did you send that angel?" And a few weeks later, I was meditating, and I just remember meditating. It was a group of people. We were all meditating, and all of a sudden, I saw, my eyes closed, I saw my cousin. He bumped his nose on my nose, and so it was interesting because I saw his little freckles. I mean, he's 5 years younger than me, so I'd always call him like cousin Mikey. So I saw his freckles, and then he points to his glasses. And I said, "You have the glasses," like that. And he nodded his head. And then I just asked, "Did you send the angel?" And he nodded again. And then he like disappeared. And it was almost one of those things like, wait, 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 come back, come back, come back. And so I feel like from then though, it really intrigued me. And I just started doing research and research and research. And with that, I started learning how to bring my gifts back, and also through meditation. So the next summer, I actually went for a road trip for a couple months, and I was in Wyoming, and I was sitting in a campfire, went back to the tent, was going to fall asleep, started meditating, and my grandfather came to me. And he came in the meditation, and he kind of turned his head and he said, "Tell your mom I love her." And I just kind of looked perplexed, and it's almost like the whole scene like squinted, like I was squinting at him. And he stepped forward, he goes, "Tell your mom I love her." And I remember getting home and telling her about this, and she just sat down and she started crying and she said, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And
Mm.
so with that, that just opened up so many more doors for me. How did I do this? How can I teach other people how to do this? And so with that, just witnessing like it's in the brain, through this meditation, I was able to really connect with those on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Goosebumps. That was
Mhm.
amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was incredible. So
Yeah.
in your work together, as you are helping folks dig deeper, as you're working with brain spotting, spirituality, and intuition, I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to your dynamic. Maybe what are some things that that the two of you have in common, and maybe what are some differences that you share as well?
Yeah, I feel
Hmm.
I just want to speak into that. Just the first thing that comes to mind for me is that Cherie and I are able to shift very quickly,
Mhm.
shift consciousness. And so there's just different times that we're like finishing each other's sentences or we're jumping to a new topic and we're going there. And so I feel like with that too, we've been doing a lot of studying with flow. And so it's neat because I feel there are different times that I can tell when Cherie's in a flow state. I can tell that I'm able to be in synchrony with her and be in that flow state as well. And so I would say that's one of the similarities that I noticed right off the bat. It was almost just like she can hang with me. She can go as fast as I'm going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And there's actually I took this off of, I don't know, Facebook or whatever, but it said something about that I finally have found a soul that can hang with me.
Hmm.
I tend to process things very, very fast. And I've done that my entire life. And, my loved ones, friends, they're like, whoa, 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 okay, back up, back up, back up. And I don't have to do that with Heather. It's like full steam ahead. And I'm like, are you with me? Yep. Okay, we're moving on to the next thing. So that is very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And then just letting the brainstorming happen, letting the downloads happen. And somehow they always come together and make sense at the end. We just let this brainstorming process happen. It looks like a big tornado, and then eventually it kind of, you know,
Oh.
focuses and gets
Hmm.
clear. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of differences, I'm trying to think. I mean, I know we have differences.
I was thinking along the lines of learning. So I think it's interesting, and I know you've shared this with me, Cherie, before, that you're a really good auditory learner,
Mhm.
and I am not so much. And so with that, auditorily, I need to hear it and then I need to write it down. And so I'm more
Mhm.
like auditory and kinesthetic with that. And at the same time, I know this might sound funny, but the more I'm hanging out with you, Cherie, I feel like I'm becoming much more of an auditory processor. So I think that synchrony is
Mhm.
there. And at the same time, I just feel like we learn differently, and yet we somehow keep coming together. And
Mhm.
I'll just kind of share, like when we are working on the presentation, Cherie's at the computer and she's working with
I'm like a mad
yeah,
scientist.
the mad scientist, and I have like all the articles and books on my lap because I'm kinesthetic, and so I'm like writing over here. She's on the computer, and I just feel like there's these differences, and at the same time, somehow we just keep coming together. So I
Mhm.
see that. I see
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would say that we're different about is, and you may disagree, but I'm going to say it anyway, is bravery. Okay. So I see Heather much braver than I am. And I think in terms of being able to be so vulnerable and so open, like me just sharing that story spiritually, like that maybe is the second time I've shared that. And immediately after I shared it, like I was just flooded with and a little bit of anxiety about like, oh, what are going to people think? And I've worked on those parts of myself for a very, very long time. And I just say, trust the process, sweetheart. Like that's what I'm saying inside myself, where I think Heather has overcome a lot of that, in terms of especially sharing your spiritual gifts and so forth. Like to be able to put those things out, you have to be very, I think, brave, because not everybody is going to understand. So that's where I would say that we were different. I'm learning to be braver.
Got you. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think too, even just seeing the two of you together and in the way that you work, even just here in this interview now, it's clear to me that both of your strengths just work so well together, whether they're similar, whether they're different. And I think just being in your presence too, and watching you ladies do your thing, you can just feel it. And I think that's the beauty of what each of you bring to the work that you're sharing with all of us. So thank you for being such an incredible
Yeah. Well,
example
it's
for us all.
exciting. It's exciting. I'm really excited because if you're feeling that, that really is wonderful because that is what we're hoping people will feel
Yeah.
as we share.
And yeah, just to dovetail on that, yes. And it's so interesting just because of the different insights that I've received is almost like Cherie and I coming together because our strengths need to come together so that we can really help others in the world to be able to come to the light, allow for their gifts to shine, allow for them to access their intuition, just to be able to reach more people, and it's like almost like these two minds coming together and being
Yeah.
able to really assist people to access what they need to access.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, speaking of working together and sharing your work with the world and changing the world, can you share with us here and the folks that are at home watching this some opportunities that are upcoming, some other ways that they can get involved or learn more, or even reach either of you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so well, we have the brain spotting, spirituality, and intuition class that's going to be in February. That you can find that on CherieLindbergh.com. And then we're also going to be doing membership. So that would be on your website, Heather, and that's heathercorbett.com,
You got
correct?
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, so we're also just looking at doing training in person. So doing brain spotting, spirituality, and intuition in person. We're looking in Sedona in November is what we're looking at currently of
Mhm.
2024, and then also looking at retreat. And I feel like just because of all of our research and just seems to keep evolving that we're doing brain spotting, spirituality, and intuition coming up in February. Yet we've talked about like maybe we do a phase two. So it seems like it just keeps evolving. So yeah.
Yeah.
But those are some of
Well,
the
and don't forget, Heather's also doing brain spotting and Reiki, which I think is really important. And
Mhm.
then you're also going to be doing a consultant group as well, right?
Right. Yeah. So a 9-month consultant group starting in March. And so that is looking at my soul and brain spotting. So just being able to look at different categories of that. So looking at creating your own reality, being able to use brain spotting to connect with loved ones, or even looking at, things in different, let's say, timelines. So what has happened in your past, what may have happened in another lifetime, like related to being able to access with brain spotting. So yeah, super excited about that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's incredible. A lot of exciting things coming up. So for folks watching at home, please, please, please make sure that you check out their website if you have any more questions for either of those things. And I just want to thank the two of you so much. I can seriously spend so much time just listening to both of your experiences. So thank you for being a
Mhm.
little bit vulnerable, sharing some stories with us, and talking a little bit about what we can expect. So thank you both so much again.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Jen.